Now when I work the skull up, I like to have the skin off and as much tissue removed as I'm processing it as I can. I'm not doing this as a taxidermy shop, so I don't have to have 14 other things going on at one time. I'm able to work it a little bit. And when I talk about working it, I'm talking about taking away, cutting and slowly removing away as much of the soft tissue as I can It helps keep the water bath a little cleaner. Also, when you start to do this, though, you need to know where the things are. Now, the top of the spine is the big one, the big butterfly. It fits right in like this. Now, at the base of the skull, you have a lot of tissue. But when you kind of work this down and you get down to this little bit, you'll find it gets awfully stubborn right at the base of the brain. And through these little holes you see, and there's some at the sides, those are where the cranial nerves come out. And it can take quite a bit of effort to get those out. A toothbrush, a good stiff toothbrush, a piece of brass wire, bracing wire, a clothes hanger, a sharp, very pointed boning knife may help, and you just have to kind of work those little grooves back and forth. You may have to let it set for a little longer than you would hope, but the idea is to process it for every bit of time it takes, but no more than what it takes. That helps keep the bone in good shape. And you may not get it 100% perfectly clear of everything, but then consider, what is it really worth to you to remove these tiny little bits right up in here if it causes you to damage the bone as you scrape those clean. They'll dry, they won't hurt a thing, they won't cause an odor or anything like that. If you get them right down and get it about like this, and I haven't had a problem, so I don't think you'll have a problem as well. Now, we're just about clean as we're going to get. In this area right here, at the base of the skull, is where you'll have a lot of difficulty, because right in through here there's a bunch of cranial nerves come through here, and these nerves bundle through, and they're very elastic, and so it takes quite a bit of effort to get them out, and you end up maybe using a very stiff toothbrush, a sharp pointed knife, ice pick perhaps. This is a boning knife I use, a pair of tweezers perhaps, high pressure airline. I use a blow nozzle on the end of an air compressor, that helps. You might use a garden hose, a high pressure garden hose. I wouldn't use a pressure washer because, I don't know if you can tell, but this bone right here is very, very fragile, and too much pressure is likely to break that fragile structure. I know it's going to be on the underside of your mount, and probably no one will see it, but anyway, that's about where it is. Now, let's flip her over, and as you see from this side, we're not in too bad a condition, fairly white considering we're not bleaching, and I think that has a lot to do with using the surfactant or the Dawn, the dishwashing detergent, to help keep those oils and fats and materials out of the water. We do have a little bit of the soft tissue now that I think we're ready to remove, because now that we're done with the bulk of the cleaning, we don't need to protect those fragile bones nearly like we did. So we're just about ready to finish up and dry her out, ready for the bleaching. There is a skull ready for the bleaching action. I have wrapped the antler bases in aluminum foil as the customary fashion. The theory behind this, I believe, at least this is what I think it is that the bleaching agent, if it gets up there, as it always will, it gets up there and finds the aluminum, and the aluminum being a easily reduced metal, has a field day with it instead of the antler, and hopefully reduces the amount of fading at the bases. That's the theory. So, never seen a case where it didn't get up there and do a little bit of bleaching. You take a little bit of walnut stain and try to touch it up, but you know, they never quite match, I don't think, and you don't want to end up doing the whole antler. So I'm going to try something I've never tried before, which is to take some of this rubber tape, electrical rubber tape, and seal the base. I may end up with a gray ring around where the skull gets bleached and the sealed part doesn't, but if that's the case, I'll take a Q-tip or something else, a paintbrush, and I'll paint it on at that area real gentle like, and hopefully take that out. How much whitening do you need and when do you want to stop? That's your choice. It's your amount. Now for me, I used a real reference. This is a coyote skull that's naturally aged out in the sun. It was picked clean by nature, left to nature, and this is what nature produced. I would have to say, by definition, it's very natural. Now compare that to the deer skull next to it. This is one I just produced. Now we do have fairly dark contrasting antlers, and we have a nice, I think, nice contrasting skull. It's a little bit wider than what nature produced. But yet we still have, if I zoom in there a little bit, we can still see the lines where the skull plates are formed, where the different bones of the skull go together. You can still see the lines. It still has some individual colors. It does not look fake or painted over. And after pulling this out, I was still able to pull a little bit of white dusting off of the skull as I handled it. So I don't think we need to go any further. I think the solution was capable of whitening it as far as I wanted to go. Now, I've got the plaque mounted to the bench because it's long enough. It's elongated. You probably can't do that on a conventional one. I have it drill pressed out, so we have our hole for our screw. I have pre-located in between the little ridges, the little mountains on the base of the skull, a little dimple for the drill to go through. I'm going to come through the base like this, so I line up fairly straight because it's such a thick piece of wood. We'll find my dimple and we're going to drill it through and hope we get it straight.